So the first thing I need to do is go to csu.pomona.edu /tilde/dr/brown. tilde. Tilde. /tilde. tilde. Alright. Under the iOS-ASA folder, you need to look for a couple of different files. The first two you need to look for is the ASA 802-KA init.rd and kernel. Download both of those. The next thing you need to grab is the ASDM603.bin file. Save that. So when you download those, go to your downloads directory, find them. They're right here at the top for me. Copy them or cut them. Go back to where your iOS files are going to be. Where your iOS files are going to be. Wherever you have them set up in GNS3. And paste them there. We are going to have to move the ASDM file, but we'll do that in a minute. Okay. Alright. Now from here, go back to GNS3 and just cancel out of this at first. Go to, I believe it's Edit and Preferences. Alright. You then need to go to QEMU. 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 I will let everybody catch up right now. I know I go really fast. I apologize. So download those files. Put them into your temp directory where your iOS files are, wherever that directory is. Are we having difficulty with it?
Yeah, she locked up her computer with FTK.
Is that a different class?
Yeah.
Then I don't care. Everybody else caught up other than these two?
I'm caught up.
Going once. Put your hand in the air if you're not. Going twice. Okay, let's move on. Click on QEMU. So you have your executable, just working directory. Make sure that it maps to the local temp. Fine. So you also want to take those files. They're not that big. I think they're that big. Yeah, they're like a meg, a couple meg. The kernel file and the init.rd file. Copy those and put them in that same directory as your working directory, which mine is users, my username, app data, local temp. Then go to the ASA tab. You see where you have a drop-down box. You're pre-configured here for 8.4 revision 2. Do we have 8.4 revision 2? Any guesses? No, we don't. What do you think we got? 8.0 something or another, right? 8.02. You click apply. Your RAM will go to 512 meg. You can keep it there. I suggest that you change it to 1024. You'll get better performance. The number of network interface cards, keep it default. Alright. Then down here at the ASA specific settings. Alright. Go ahead and click there. And then go back to your temp iOS. It'll open that up automatically and click that init.rd file, the .gz one. Go. Do the same thing with the kernel, except this time select the kernel file. Yeah. If you don't do this, you will not get through it. Which one? The quick options? It should automatically populate. Really?
Oh, I have to apply that. I think they applied that.
Then when you're done with all that good stuff, hit save. Okay? Good. We're not going to work with IDS. We're not going to work with AW. We do, however, we'll come back here and hit apply. And we'll click the test settings button. Green is good. You should want green. If you don't get green, something went wrong. So after you make your settings under your ASA tab, come back and hit test settings. Alright, going back again. Make sure your working directory, you have your files there. Okay, this is not as important as this ASA tab. On the ASA tab, 802, I suggest that you change your RAM to 1024, a full gig, but you don't have to, you can keep it at 512. Keep the number of NICs at 6. Your QEMU options should show up. I keep those default. I don't check anything. Then for the init.rd, I select that from my iOS where I put it initially. And the kernel, same. That will populate this command line here. And then click save. When you click save, your ASA image will pop up down here. You know you're good. Then click apply. Everybody with me? Anybody not with me? Don't be shy. I won't make fun of you. Okay, you're not with me?
Not yet.
Okay. We'll get there. What are you missing?
I can't see the entry in the kernel.
Okay, on the init.rd, you click the 3 dots. That will take you to the directory, hopefully your iOS directory, where we dump them. And then select the init.rd.gz file and click open. So you do this. You then select the init.rd.gz and you click open. You do the same thing with the kernel. But you go to that directory where you have all your iOS files, where we dumped everything, or I dumped everything. And select the kernel file, you click open then. Then you click save. So now, you'll be able to pull ASA firewall, if you hit the firewall icon, you'll be able to hit the ASA firewall and pull it over. Okay. Now, if I right click on it, I haven't turned it on yet. And I go to configure, and I highlight ASA1. Okay. I see my kernel, my init, RD, all those settings I'd already previously had set, which is fine. Okay, there. Now when you bring up an ASA, it's a little bit different. It's actually a lot different than pulling up a router. There's a couple additional commands that you have to do. On that website, okay, there's a little text document that says ASA instructions.txt. You open that up, that tells you what you need to do. Okay, there's a couple commands that you have to do. Alright, so when we power on the ASA, I'm not hooking anything else up to the ASA, no switches, nothing. Just going to click on the power button. Waymo pops up for a brief second. And then you see over here in the topology summary, the ASA will click on. If I look at that, you see the monitor type is running. Do not close this window. If you close this window, you kill the ASA. You close the window, even accidentally, you kill the ASA. Anytime. Anytime. Don't close that window. Right click and go to console. You'll see you come up to a hashtag. It's easier to see now that we have dark green. Okay. Now we need to do okay. And you just have to, after you get the hashtag sign, type in /MNT /disk 0 /Lina LINA space -M. Enter. That will boot it. Yes. -M as in Mike. Once you get the Cisco ASA prompt, type enable.
You go back to the command.
Command is right here. That's why I left it up there. This is in the instructions document on the website. Once you power up the ASA, right click, console to it, you will get a hashtag, #. You type in this mount command, you're basically mounting the hard disk. It's just like Linux, you're mounting a hard disk. You mount the disk, and it will pop up. Now here is one slight caveat to it. Click enable, there's no password, you just hit enter. You'll get to the enable. You do a show run at this point in time. Okay? You will have one problem. You have one major problem. Hold on a second. Maybe
What's the problem should be expected?
no interfaces. T int E00 name if outside Aha, see that's it. It's not recognizing it as an ASA. Not recognizing it as an ASA. Hold on. This is a bug. This is a bug. There's a way around it. All you have to do is exit out of the ASA. Power it off. Huh? No, when you power it off with it. But that's fine. Power it back on. This thing here. Minimize it. Go ahead and console to it now. Sleep boot. Now when you do a show run, what looks different? Yeah, you see everything. So it's really strange. After you mount that disc, something doesn't click. You actually have to shut the ASA down and bring it back up in order to get it to work. Alright?
So you enable it once, turn it on, turn it back on.
It fixes it.
Close this window.
Nope. Nope. Don't close this window. This Quemu window. Do not close that. Minimize it. Do not close it. It looks like we need to create a flash drive for the ASA. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up a command prompt. And I'm going to execute this Quemu command, QEMU-img.exe. The parameter create flash 250. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do 512 meg. Done. Now if I browse to that flash file, okay, if I come here to C, program files, GNS3, here's my flash file. And as you can see, it's 512 meg. So, we need to copy that to our ASA working directory. To our working directory. So, right click, I'm just going to cut it. Where's my working directory of my ASA? Anybody have an idea? Trick question. I know the answer. I want to see if you guys can figure this out. Yeah, it's the temp file. So C:\temp iOS. Another working directory. So we actually haven't made it yet. It'll be here when we create. If we do this, we do a file. Save project as. Here's my project name. I'm just going to put in ASA-Lab 4. See where that project directory is? Check this stuff. Save NVMs, Unibase images, traffic captures. Click OK. So now, if I go to my directory, looky there. There's that working directory where that flash has to go. Everybody follow me what I just did. Okay, rewind. I open up a command prompt as administrator, and I go to my GNS3 directory. CD /enter, then CD space program files /GNS3. Once you're in that GNS3 directory, run that quemu-img.exe space create space flash. This is just the name of the file, and this is going to be the size of the file. quemu-img.exe space create space, whatever you want to name it. I just named it flash. You can name it disk 0, whatever. Okay? Space, the size. I made mine 512 because I made my NVRAM a gig. I like a lot of space. Okay? It'll create it. Then browse to this directory. C:\program files /GNS3. Find that file named flash. Right click it. Cut it. Then go to keep it cut. Then go back to GNS3. Everybody with me on how I made the flash file?
Yes.
Right? Okay. Kyle, cut it. Or copy it. But it's better to cut it because it's a half a gig. Go to your GNS3 directory, under your user. VC:\users, username. I'm sorry, I take that back.
Temp.
The temp directory, C:\temp your working directory, because you created this project, you did a save project as, or you created the project initially. You should have a working directory in there. You should have a directory that says working. Okay? So, how I did that is I did file, save project as, I named the project, I told it what project directory it's going to be in, which is the C:\temp. I checked all the check marks. I hit OK. When I did that, if I go to that directory, C:\temp /ASA-Lab 4, which is what I named the project, under that directory, I have a folder called Working. Go into that directory called Working and paste that flash file there. You may not have to give your credentials, but my computer's retarded. Alright?
Sure.
Something like that. Secure. Now, once you do that, you can power that ASA back on. Console to it. Looks like I got the same problem you do. It don't like a move. Alright.
Yeah, it's the same thing she had. What would pop up with you and you window?
Yeah, that's alright. Yeah, I got a QEMU window. Quit. Would you like to say the current topology? Yeah, why not? Exit out of it. Sometimes you just gotta kick it. You can click open the project. Open your project. There you go. Then try powering it back on. Woo, going all crazy. Console. There we go. My console back to it now. I just had to kick it. Hopefully that's all you guys have to do. Alright. So now, after I do a show run, I make sure I got all my interfaces and everything. After I do a show flash, looky there. I have a flash system. I have a flash system. Alright. So this, it can be a VM if you want, or it can just be a cloud connection to one of your interfaces. I would suggest like a Microsoft loopback interface. Okay. If you're running, if you are running Windows, if you're running Mac. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. So you have to tie it to maybe like your physical interface or wireless interface or something. I don't know.
Well, if I had to make it, wouldn't have used GNS, right?
I rest my case. On the other side, this is where it gets tricky. What I'm going to do tonight, and I don't think we need to do this for your lab per se, but I'm sorry, I keep moving my shoulder. I hurt my shoulder really bad. Alright, we're going to do an internet cloud here, which is going to tie to a physical interface that you have out to the internet. And we're going to make this interface DHCP. Alright. The goal of this entire exercise is to get the ASA up and running in GNS3 with ASDM. Why is that important? Because this is what you actually will see in the real world. Yeah, you only need these two, but you can also grab these two. We'll work with those later, maybe. Alright? But you definitely need these two. Alright? So, download those. Put them in your iOS directory of GNS3. Then, launch GNS3. The next thing you have to do is you've got to configure QEMU, Q-E-M-U. Go to Edit, Preferences. Go to the QEMU area. Go to the ASA tab. All of this stuff here, you should not have to touch. Don't touch it, don't change it. Go to the ASA tab. Now, it will come up automatically with 8.4 revision 2. Switch it to 8.0 revision 2. 8.0 revision 2. You do not have to give an identifier name. You do not have to specify any more RAM, but I'm going to. I'm going to give it 512. Okay, number of NICs, keep it 6. Keep that the way it is. Then you get down here, you got to specify your file name. So the init.rd, click on the 3 dots. That should take you to your iOS file library. You want to find the one that's 802 init.rd.gz. Select, click, open. I will wait till you're done. I'll wait a fair amount of time until you should be done. Questions so far? Questions so far? Tell me to stop or I'm going to keep going.
Why is this so difficult to do?
Why is genus 3?
Wait, what'd you load?
Huh?
What'd you load?
What did I load?
Yeah, which file?
Initrd 802.-k8.initrd.gz. For the kernel, hit the 3 buttons. You go back to the same directory. Guess what file you're going to select? 802.k-k8.kernel. Make sure they're 802 and 802. If you try to mix an 802 and an 804, guess what's not going to work? Anything. Do not change the kernel command line. Then you want to click Save. You should get something down here. It says something very similar to this. 802, /temp, your path, and then your kernel path. That's all you have to do. You do have to hit apply over here though on 802. I did forget that. Sorry. You have to hit apply. Once you hit the pre-configuration, you do have to hit apply. Okay? Once that's done, just hit OK. Oh. You get an error message, save it again. Then OK. It tries to be intelligent. Alright, now what I want you to do is we're going to try to build this topology over here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work from the bottom up. We're going to work from our command line. So run. God, I'm way too tired. Alright, so I want to look for my Microsoft loopback adapter. You never installed one, you're wrong. You missed a class. Because I went over that in class.
Yeah, missed a couple.
Whoops.
I think I have a Hebrew back that we should try to go back. God, I love stuff. I love stuff. What the hell is it? I said tap.local domain. I don't know. Tunnel adapter 6T04 adapter. Tunnel adapter isotop.station Pomona EDB. No. What are all these tunnels? From the client VPN, I wonder? I have like
VMware.
Yes.
I am in, I know I have this here somewhere. Oh, I'm still logged into, there, Microsoft Isotap adapter. This is probably my,
I have one of those too. Just like
I don't have an IP address on it. Let me get out of WinSCP. I still have a connection there. Now we do this one. Microsoft loopback adapter. There it is. Connection number 3. 10.10.10.3. So if you go to your adapter settings, you'd have a loopback adapter in there. If you do not have a loopback adapter, okay, fail. You're so mean.
I'm in the group, so I can say that.
Okey-dokey. I have this in the make Microsoft loopback adapter. I would search under maybe like Windows 8 if you were using Windows 8.
That's
There's
the
a
one I
TechNet article in this. Yes, it did. So, run your command prompt as administrator, which I'm doing. Everybody seen my command prompt? Go to the root directory. Then type in hdwwiz.exe. hdwwiz.exe. This is the add hardware wizard.
Oh yeah, you showed me.
Is this coming back now? I know I went through this like way back, like week 1 or week 2. Hardware whiz. Go through this. Install the hardware that I manually select from a list. Then you want to look for this network adapters. Right here. Okay. On the left-hand side, you want to select Microsoft. And then you want to look for Microsoft loopback adapter. Okay. Click next. Next, and it'll install the loopback adapter. When you're done, click finish. I just installed a second loopback adapter in my stuff. Lazy ears. There it is, loopback adapter number 2. Alright, whatever, I don't care. Go to the properties. You're a busy boy. Go into that loopback adapter by right-clicking on it and hitting Properties. Then go into the TCP/IP v4 properties. Define your own network. Doesn't matter what you make it, as long as it's not anything that you're currently using on any other network, like the 134.71 network. Okay? Define your network, click OK. I've already done this over here. Okay, I've already done that over here. So my network is 10.10.10.3. Yeah, 10.10.10.10.0/24. So my address is 10.10.10.3. Guess what I'm going to make my ASA's inside address? 10.10.10.1. Very good. Wish I had a Starbucks card to give you.
I was going to ask him if he was hiring just to get one.
Will work for company.
Okay, /24. Alright? And the only thing we're going to work on next, or excuse me, what we're going to work on next is we're going to bring up the ASA. We're going to create a flash drive. A flash drive for this ASA. Okay? Because they do not come standard in GNS3 with a compact flash card. And therefore, you cannot save any files to flash, like the startup config, the running config. Well, the running config doesn't matter. The startup config, the ASDM file, any other type of files that you want to run from flash. So, we've got to do that next. Now that we have our network stuff kind of fixified. But before we do that, let's go ahead and create our cloud adapter, which is going to be our host. And I'm just going to change the host name on this to MS adapter. And I'm going to change it to actually look like something that's meaningful, like computer. Next, I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to configure it. So I tie that Microsoft Loopback adapter. I tie that Microsoft Loopback adapter to this icon. I believe this was localhost local area connection 3. Confirm that. Yeah, local area connection 3 is my Microsoft Loopback adapter. So I got it right. Next, we'll go ahead and drag and drop an ASA firewall over here. Now, if this is the first time you've brought a firewall into your environment, you got to do a couple things when you turn it on. But before you turn it on, one of the things you must do is connect it, because you cannot make any connections to the device after it's turned on. One further caveat is you have to use the virtual switches in order to connect the ASA to anything. It doesn't play well if it's directly connected to anything. So, grab an Ethernet switch, go to your connector tool, your crosshair comes up, and let's just connect everybody up together. I'm going to connect it to E0. E0 is going to be my inside address. You want to remember that. Alright? Now, the next thing I need to do, is I need to create a flash for this bad boy. This is what you have to do. You have to actually go into, via command line, cd space program files, cd space GNS3, and from here you type the command QEMU-IMG space create, and that was the file name, right?
Yeah.
The file name I'm going to make it, and I'm just going to make mine flash. Space, and then the size you want it. So I'm going to make mine a 256 meg flash file. 256. Okay, everybody got that?
You're missing documents.
Sorry?
You're missing documents after.
Oh, thank you. QEMU-IMG.exe space create space whatever you want your flash name to be. So I could actually make this, for example, I can make it disk 0 if I wanted to. Disk 0. Now if I go to that if I go to this, I should have a file called disk 0. There it is. Do you see it? 0 kilobytes.
256M,
Yep. Oh, 256M?
isn't it? I feel like I put an M in there.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Trying to remember this on the fly. Not working. Obviously. Come on.
Yeah, there we go. Now it's not posted this section.
And freeze your entire system.
We did this Thursday. We did this Thursday.
There we go. Sorry.
This is just a repeat of
Alright,
last
so
week.
up arrow and put M after that. There we go. Big difference in size from 256 bytes to that. Yeah, a little bit.
There it is. Yeah, no, the right size.
Yeah. So from there you would take that flash file, copy it, or cut it even, go back to your GNS file. You will put it in the working directory when you save the project. So this is a great opportunity, great opportune time to save the project. So go back to GNS3, click File, save project as, give it a name. All right, click all your buttons here. Click OK. It saves it. When it saves it, wherever you create it, I named this one ASA-Lab4. When I go into that directory, I have a folder called Working. I have a folder called Working. That's where you put that flash file. That's where you put that flash file. Everybody got that? Anybody lost? I went through a couple things. You create the flash file with the qemu-img.exe space create space, whatever you're going to call the flash, you can call it flash, you can call it just 0, space 256M, 256 meg. Hit enter, it creates it, it puts it in that GNS3 directory. You need to cut it out of that directory.
This is from GNS.
Save your project, save project as. When you save project as, it creates this file structure under your project folder name. Look for the folder that says working and drop that file in there.
I don't know what type of association.
Alright? Now I have 2 flashes in this case. There we go. Okay? Once you have done that, you've got it cabled up and everything else. Alright? I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to create the cloud, the internet connection. I don't have to do this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to rename you. I'm going to rename you. Internet. And I'm going to cable that up. No, it's time. I'm I'm going to configure it. And just for giggles, I'm going to tie it to my Ethernet adapter, this cable here. You can tie yours to your wireless adapter, something that's actually connected. Then I'm going to cables.
That's just 5 meters.
Yeah. E1 to cloud. Oh, what did I forget? I goofed. I need to switch, don't I? Because ASAs don't like intermediaries. Use my E1. Now I'm ready to turn on this daggum ASA. When you turn on the ASA for the very first time, you have to keep in mind a couple things. Alright? Back on my website, in that iOS ASA folder, I have an instruction.txt file. You've got to mount the actual disk into the ASA. That's what that /mnt/disk0/lena space -m is for. Turn the ASA on. Alright. Now the first time you do it, this is going to show up with a pound sign. And you type this command in there. /mnt/disk0/lena space -m. I don't know who Lena is or what relationship she was to the developer. She hadn't been very endearing though.
So is this in the QEMU window or
In the QEMU window. Disk 0/lena space -m. God, I can write right in. If you've already done this previously, you don't have to. This is the first time you boot it up.
swap out images?
Yep. This Quamu's already ran.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So you have to queue. So now, once that is up and operational, I'm sorry. You know what? We might have to do this in the console. Go ahead and console to the ASA. I apologize. This is where I was looking for. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. In the console, you do that command. So it is /mnt/disk0/lena space -m. And hit enter. It likes that a lot.
Okay, back to menu.
Type in EN, you have no password, and you'll come up to your enable prompt. Now here's the trick with this. Do a show run real quick. You see how your Ethernet ports don't show up? They only show a shutdown command. This is a little caveat with 802. You've got to shut the ASA down and reboot it. Don't ask me why, it's a bug. So go ahead and clear your console, select your ASA, stop it, and start it again. What do you never ever do with this QEMU window? Close it. Hey, you guys remember. I'm so proud. Between Juniper devices, you do it between Cisco devices. Between HP devices. This is how you move your config files around. This is how you move your image files around. This is how we're going to move our ASDM file around. Okay? From our machine that is connected to that loopback address to the ASA.
Is it the standard edition?
Yeah, it's standard. So I just went and I found the download for whatever. Since I have a 64-bit machine, I did the standard edition, installed it, brought it up, and a couple things you have to do with this. When you run TFTBD64, it will default to that directory. So, you have one of two choices. You can either move the file that you're going to download next to that directory, or you can change the directory. Alright? Make sure that your server interface is pointed to the IP address on your Microsoft loopback adapter. In this case, it's 10.10.10.3 for me. I told you guys to do kind of the same thing so you would follow along. Alright? Everybody kind of follow along with this so far? Good. So next you need to get the ASDM file. Go back to my website. Under iOS and ASA, you will find an ASDM file. There are two, 603 and 641. We're going to do 603 because we're working with 802. We're going to do 603 because we're working with 802. Later on, if you wanted to do this on your own, you want to run 842, you would use 641. I give them to you both. Since you're running 802, or you should be running 802 at this point in time, download 603. Are there any questions on that? Because I know I'll have somebody that will down 641 and their ASDM will not work, and you're going to make my head explode.
Does it matter where we download it to?
Yes, it does. So you're going to download it. Probably go to your downloads file. You need to move it. So download it, save it. I'm going to cancel out of that. We'll go down to your downloads directory or wherever. Probably, maybe, could be. Yeah, I've already cut this out of here. ASDM 603.bin.
There it is.
Cut it, and then you want to put it into this directory. Right there. See, I have it there already. ASDM 603.bin. Okay? Everybody with me? Anybody not with me? Okay, moving on. Go to your ASA console. You now need to put your IP address, name your interface, set the security level, and ping your Microsoft loopback adapter. So I connected this to Ethernet 0. If you were following along, you should have connected it too. If you have a doubt, go back to your topology, roll your cursor over it, and look at what's connected to what. Ethernet 0 is connected to switch 1. There's switch 1. I'm connected to switch 1. Config T, int E00, name IF inside, that's going to be my inside interface. It will set your security level to 100 by default. That's fine, keep it that way. And then give it your IP address, 10.10.10.1/24. And turn the interface on with the no-shut command.
What if you put it under interface 0, underneath the serial interface?
Name IF. NAMEIF. Name interface space inside.
Name again.
Now, if you do a show run, you'll see that I have an IP address, security level. It's on the correct interface. Now, I'm going to do a ping command. Ping 10.10.10.1. I can ping my interface just fine. I'm going to ping my loopback adapter 10.10.10.3. Alright, I'm pinging it just fine. Now I'm going to ping my gateway, which is the ASA, which is .1. I can ping it just fine. I have full communication between the two devices. They're on the same LAN. I don't have an access list up. I can get to it. I'm going to go back to the ASA. Since I dropped that flash file into the working directory, like 5 steps ago, I'm going to do the command show flash. When I do the show flash, you can see that it has private. Okay, got some things there. Cool. If I do a show disk 0, well, I have 2 flashes running here, right? So I'm going to copy that ASDM file via TFTP into the flash of the ASA. That flash file that we created previously. The command I do to do that is copy TFTP flash. And I hit enter. What's the address of the remote host? It's asking for the address of the TFTP server. Anybody want to guess what that is in this case? Those of you following along? 10.10.10.3. Excellent. Because that's the address of my loopback adapter, which is running on my machine, which is running the TFTP service, which is a TFTP server. What's your file name? Well, oh god, I forgot. Oh, it's ASDM-603.bin. This is case sensitive. What do you want the destination file to be? And it comes up in the parameters, just hit enter, keep it the same. Exclamation points are good, like a ping. Periods are bad, like a you can't ping. It's writing it to the flash file. Alright, great. Now, to confirm this, I can do the command show flash. And lo and behold, I have that ASDM file there. That binary file there. That's very important. Why is that very important? Because who here has been messing around and struggling with the command line and everything else on routers and stuff? I have been. I'm not gonna lie to you. It sucks. Firewalls are even harder. They have more moving parts. Okay, so here's what you do next. You've got to configure the ASA to accept HTTP connections. We've got to configure a user and a password. And we've got to tell it where the ASDM file is. The ASDM file is basically the GUI for the ASA. So to do that, you have to go to config-t. You have to do the command HTTP server enable. And then you have to do HTTP, the network that you're going to allow connections from. So the network that I'm on is 10.10.10.0/24. In that mask. And then the name of the interface it's coming in on, which in this case it's inside. Now I need to make a username. User Robro Pass Cisco. Done. And then I need to tell the ASA what the ASDM image it's going to use. ASDM image flash, because it's in the flash directory, it's not in the disk directory, it's in the flash directory. /ASDM-603.bin. You notice how I use the question mark quite a bit there. I suggest you do the same thing. Done. Write it to memory. Now, here's the cool thing about having a flash file too. With, like the routers, they don't have a onboard flash, so if you do a write to mem, it will not always save the config file. You can copy the running config to the flash as a startup config by doing this. Copy, run, flash, / start, startup dash config. Source file running config, destination file startup config. Done. Do a show flash, and now I have my startup config in my flash. So when I go back to boot this thing later on, it'll boot with your configuration that you made. You don't have to go and do all this stupid stuff all over again. Okay. Now, once that's all done and set up, open the browser. HTTPS 10.10.10.1, which is your ASA, right? Go through all this. Yeah, I understand the risk. Yes, I really understand the risk. My God, I understand the risks already. And that will pop up. What you do from there is you go ahead, install ASDM, and run ASDM. That will download a file, an MSI file, I believe. Execute it, load it, give it admin privileges. Okay, install it basically. Once it installs, it will put a cool little desktop icon. That looks like this. Cisco ASDM IDM launcher. Yep. Let's start. I'm making my core processor screen right now.
I think I broke it.
I think I broke it. What do you expect?
If you're saying you broke it, I think you did a lot worse than I did.
There's nothing I broke.
Is a lot. Any local address.
Ah, there it goes.
Remote address.
It just took a while. So I like started like 5 instances of it, I think. Anyway, it'll come up to the launcher. Go ahead and put the IP address in there. Then you created that username and password. Put that in. Click OK. You'll get a Java message. Oh, one important thing about Java. You want to share this? Either of you two guys?
It sucks.
Yeah, Java sucks. That's true. Okay.
For some reason, you have to have like a high-resolution monitor. Otherwise, you don't get the windows that pop up in order to configure ASDM.
Yeah. So if you don't have a high resolution monitor, it might not work. Okay. That's what happened with them, because Java is just kludgy like that.
The one thing I had with one other one you gave us, it wasn't so much the resolution. I think it was from your class. We had to run it in IE. And you had to run it in IE compatibility mode.
Oh,
Because if you didn't, only like the top quarter of it loaded, and the rest of it was blank.
Yeah, the,
If you
Lesson learned: always use Firefox or
No,
Chrome.
would it run? You had to run it in IE,
it
and
would
you
launch,
had to run
it
it in
launches an
compatibility
IE
mode.
instance versus
Oh,
What was it?
that's cruel.
CCP.
Yeah, CCP.
Oh, that's different. I don't use CCP.
I know, but when we ran it the one time,
Okay. So anyway, when this comes up, you run like, if you administer a lot of ASAs, like I do, they have a bunch of other labs and stuff and work and everything else. It'll come up, it'll tell you your ASA version, your ASDM version, what mode your firewall is in. And for those of you who maybe remember from lecture, a firewall can be in one of two modes, either routed mode like we are here, which means that we can actually put IP addresses on the interfaces, and we can have a DMZ, we can do VPN, or it can be in what we call transparent mode, which is where the firewall is quite literally a bump on the wire. All it's doing is acting as a scanner, basically, and filtering based on layer 2, layer 3 information between two interfaces. You can't have a DMZ, you can't have contexts, you cannot have VPNs. Alright? Those are my flash, my memory, how long it's been up, the device type, which in this case is 5520. The interfaces, my CPU usage, my memory usage, all kinds of cool stuff. One of the things you need to do from the get-go is enable logging. Down there, when you click that, anytime any syslog event happens, it goes to that monitor. Really, really, really useful if your network is not terribly chatty. You can identify problems really fast. Okay? The configuration tab. Oh wow. Okay, hold on. We gotta fix something. Cisco privilege 15. Make sure you give your user privilege 15 access. Log out. must have mistyped. Okay. Now I can go to the configuration tab, and from here I can move my interfaces, I can name them, give them IPs. So I made the Ethernet 01, for example, my outside IP from here, right? That's my outside. So let's say I want to set that up for DHCP. Obtain address via DHCP. Name interface. Outside. Security level 0. Enable the interface. Okay. I can give a description if I want. Or in this case, I'm just going to hit OK. OK. Now, if I did GNS3 right and everything else, type in, do the right mem. Ooh, it failed. Do a show run. Didn't know lucky you.
Turn all the
Oh. Oh, I just forget to do. Hit apply. /24 .1 on this inside interface. Alright. We want to get a DHCP address for our outside interface. Alright. And we want to set up our DHCP scope for .100 through .199. Why aren't you done that? I am going to pull a cloud interface out here. I'm going to configure that cloud interface for my Ethernet connection. You can do it for your wireless connection if you're on wireless. Actually, I can do it for my wireless connection because I'm on CPB. So I'll do it for my wireless connection, just like you. So I'm going to look for my wireless network connection. There it is. I'll add that. I'm going to change the host name here to Internet. Okay. I'm going to drag my ASA firewall across. Set it up. And I'm going to drag a switch, just, Ethernet switch. Something simple. And that's where my clients would go. Alright? Alright. So, let me just connect everything up here. Switch, port 1, to the Ethernet 1. Ethernet 1 is going to be my inside interface. And then Ethernet 0 is going to be my outside interface to the internet. So, alright. Gotta put another switch up here. If it wants to act stupid, that's fine. That's just a GNS3 thing. Alright, so let's go ahead and fire this thing up. And once you give it a minute or two, or a few seconds, go ahead and console to it.
close the other window.
Do not close the other window. You have to do the mount command. /MT/disk 0 / Mina space M. Is it dash M?
Is it local connection on, is there a specific connection attached to the second? It says like step or
Sorry?
is there a look back adapter?
No. No look back adapter.
It's just slash on
Add that permanent works.
and not initialize system.
So it comes up in its default mode. If you type in enable or EN and hit enter, there's no password set. Do a quick show run. Alright, looks like all my interfaces are up and set and ready. So I don't have to reboot again. You may have to reboot if you do not get the name, if, security level on the interfaces. So, from here, what else do you want to add? Let's go ahead and set a domain. cpp.edu and a host name of 467 ASA. So, now I have to go into configuration mode. Comp T. To set a host name, type in host, and then the host name, which I said was going to be 467 ASA. You'll see the prompt change. Host name. I'm going to set a domain name. I can do tab complete after I start typing the first few letters of the command. I said I was going to set that to cpp.edu. Alright, so I need to go and define the outside interface, which is E0. So I go into that interface, which is E0/0. I'm going to name the interface outside. It will automatically set the security level to 0, so I don't have to worry about setting the security level. And I'm going to go ahead and set it to pick up a DHCP address. So IP add DHCP. Sure.
That's
Alright. And I have to turn it on. It's a no shut command. And I'm going to go into the E0/1 interface. I'm going to name it inside. Name IF inside. It will take the security level of 100 by default, because it's a recognized name. And I'm going to give it an IP address of 192.168.1.1, the 24-bit subnet mask. Turn it on. I'm going to then configure our DHCP scope. Which is the DHCPD command. Address. One 192.168.1.100 space and a dash. 192.168.1.199. And that's going to be on the inside network. I can also do separate options for DHCPD, such as setting the DNS name. DHCPD DNS domain cpp.edu. I can also specify what DNS servers to use. DHCPD DNS. Say I use 4.2.2.2. I can supply a second one, 8.8.8.8. Okay? Next, I can, I need to do my default route. So IP, route, outside, all zeros, and ooh, now I gotta give it an IP address. Kind of hit a roadblock here, don't I? Since I did DHCP, didn't I? Yeah.
What about the host name?
Well, I'd have to know what the host name is.
Yeah.
All right. So here's how you cheat with that. This is not in the slides. Show int e 00.
And that address in their cluster was? Oh, no, it's trying to get an IP address and a MAC address or something.
Oh, I thought you said MAC address.
I guess it didn't give me an IP address. All right. Do this.
So you're right now when you restart.
Yeah, I'm not gonna write man. Not yet.
This is how to do that.
I don't give up that easy. One 134, 71, 200, and 38.
I'm guessing whatever you assign to the
134.71.200.245.
So you're assigned to the cloud interface.
Yeah. Cool. Don't anybody take 245, it's mine. You're following along. 245 is mine, I claimed it. Alright, so, default gateways .1. So I'm going to come back up here, since the DHCP didn't work on the outside interface. I'm going to go back to that interface, give it a static address, IP add 134.71.200.245. Alright, and then give it an IP, route outside. Route outside, all zeros. 134.71.200.1. Right, It's up. Now let's see if I can do a ping test. Ping outside. 134.71.200.1. Ping 134.1.200.1. Yep, responds there, so. It's probably my wireless.
What was the
Route, space, outside, 0.0.0.0, space, 0.0.0.0, space, next hop. Oh well. Let's move on. We're almost done for the night.
There we go.
Okay, so I need to allow any inside hosts from this network here to get to the internet here. Problem is, I have one IP address here. So I've got to use a port address translation for that to work. I have to do two separate commands. The first command is to set the global address, or the address that I'm going to use to translate to. Command is global. That address is on the inside. I have to give it a sequence number to match up with the inside. So that's going to be just 1. And now I can give it an IP address, or I can just say interface, which it will take the IP address of the outside interface. I'm going to do here. To link the inside network to that address, the command is nat, inside, in parentheses, the same sequence number I used before, in this case 1, and then either give it an access list or tell it what network I want it to translate for. In this case, I'm going to do 192.168.1.0, and it's subnet mask. Okay. Now, if I had any type of access to restrict to this inside network, I would write an access list and apply it to the outside address. So let's just say that I only have one web server sitting on .99, okay, that I want to allow access to. Well, first off, I don't have a public IP to restrict it to. I have to either do a port forward or something to that nature. It's a little more complicated. Let me back up a step. Let's say that my ISP has given me 2 IPs to use. Okay, 134.71.200.2 and 200.3. So I need to NAT those individual public IPs to say individual private IPs. So what that would look on the network diagram is, let's just say I have a web server and a mail server. Web server here, mail server here. And they're going to be on 134.71.200.2 and 200.3. But wait a second. They're local. They already have an IP address. For argument's sake, let's say they're .2 and .3 on the local network. I have to write individual, what we call static translation statements, static NAT statements for each one of these before I can write my access list. Otherwise, they won't be able to get out to the internet. Internet stuff won't be able to get to them. I'll show you how to do that real quick. You use the static command. Okay. The local interface, the global interface, separated by a comma. And then the addressing is reversed. This is kind of confusing. So it is actually 134.71.200.2 space 192.168.1.2. Okay, that's all you gotta do. And I can up arrow and just change the 2 to a 3 on each one. That will allow that traffic to come in. Now, what is restricting me at this point in time is I have my outside interface is security level 0. My inside interface is security level 100. Those who remember in lecture, what doesn't work? What does not work? Alright, true or false? I can get onto one of those servers, the web server or the mail server, and I can surf the internet at this point in time. True or false? Speak up. Okay. Who says true? Who says false? You guys are wrong. It's true. I can surf the web.
So it's the high security level, and you do not get to the outside networks.
Yep, I have a default route.
Higher goes to low.
I have a default route. I'm on a higher security interface, and I'm allowed outside.
Yeah.
It will, since I have a path already established, it will create an established TCP connection. And it will keep track of that and allow the return traffic back in. Now, next question. I have users on the internet that want to get to my web service. And I have mail that needs to get into my mail server. They send me traffic, and they send it to 134.71.200.2 for web traffic. And they send it to 134.71.200.3 for mail traffic. Will they get a web page given that that web server is set up correctly? And will I receive mail? True or false?
False.
Who says true? Who says false? Alright, you're right.
You're right. The access list.
Because I don't have an access list. So let's create that access list. Alright, I can do an access list several ways. I can give it a number. I can give it a name. In this case, I'm going to give it a name. Access list. Typically outside underscore access underscore in. Access outside to inside. I can either deny or permit traffic. In this case, I'm going to permit traffic. Permit. I have to tell the protocol. What's the protocol that web traffic uses? Come on, guys. You've had 347. You've had this class for... HTTP is the protocol. What's the master protocol? Layer 4 protocol. TCP. What's the port? 80. Permit. TCP Where do I want to allow traffic from? It goes source, destination. Anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just open to the public. So, from any destination to, am I allowing this to my entire network? Am I allowing web traffic to my entire network, or do I want to allow it to one single host? One host. So I have to use the host command. Now I have to tell it that host's IP address. Here's a trick question. What IP address do I put that there?
Where are you applying it to?
Which one am I applying it to? I'm applying it to my web server. So, question, do I apply it to 134.71.200.2, or do I apply it to 192.168.1.2?
When's the access opinion, before or after the map?
What's the best practice?
You're outside of key.
Somebody listening to
This
this
is
class.
too large, you want to put it as close to the.
So what would IP address would I apply there?
The 134.
The 134 address? Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Do you want to phone a friend? Take that answer. I was a game show host in a previous lifetime. Had to admit. Okay? Now I have to give it a port number, or an EQ. Okay? Let's just say for a moment that I have a complete brain lapse, and I cannot remember for the life of me what port web traffic travels on. At all. I just woke up and I lost that, gray matter in my head. I can hit the question mark. Oh wow, this is old code. It doesn't give you, newer code gives you by port number, by protocol. So I can put HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, all that stuff there. This is old school. They want the port number.
If you use the 2.0 or whatever, not the 2.4.
Yeah. So it's port 80. I hit enter. I'm done. Alright, Brian, I'm going to pick on you.
Oh, crap. It's Chuck's network, not mine.
Walk me through. Now let me get mail traffic going to that mail server. You talk, I'll type.
Access list, outside access, in permit. Mail is
Outside, hold on, underscore, access, underscore, in, permit.
to the exchange server. That's 110, isn't it?
What let's look where we're at right now. What protocol is it? What protocol does mail use?
It's SMTP.
SMTP. That is the exact application layer protocol.
Yeah.
So what layer 4 protocol does that use? Does it use ICMP? Does it use UDP? Does it use GRE?
Right.
UDP.
Because it just sends it, it waits, it gives a response back to the server fail, but it doesn't really wait for
Okay.
the response.
Where am I coming from? Where's it coming from? Anywhere?
Yeah.
Alright.
So,
And what's my IP?
dot 3.
Yeah.
471.200.3.
And what port does that come on? What's the port for this protocol? Is that, you want to phone a friend?
Pretty much. I
Okay.
went to 25, I heard you. Why not?
25. Is that your final answer?
Sure, why not? You just lost $1 million.
Yep. Okay, you screwed one thing up. What protocol does SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, use? TCP. You make a TCP connection when you transfer mail.
Okay.
You're thinking DNS. DNS is fire and forget. For lookup. Not zones, but for lookup. Alright? Port 110 is not Exchange. It's called Post Office Protocol. And that is for mail to go from clients to your mailbox locally.
I know that explains a lot. We just did this for these students and CIS 100.
Make sure you get stuff like this right. Okay? You learned something tonight, right? Alright. So, to fix this, all I need to do is come back here and do TCP. And now Brian will never, ever, ever forget what port SMTP runs on.
It's already there.
That's probably already there, that's why I'll forget.
Okay. Alrighty. So that sets up the access list. So, here's a key thing that you need to take away from the lecture tonight. I'm going to wrap it up. At their most basic level, firewalls have to what do they have to do? We set up, they, take it up a level, get too detailed. They have to filter traffic, right? What's the next thing you have to do? Or be able to do? In order for them to work at the very basic level. How do they do that though? You're on the right track. If they have to NAT and PAT. Okay. You don't get to answer this next one because you already answered one. But what's the last thing they have to do? Be able to do. This is one that everybody forgets. They have to be able to route. They have to be able to route. Always remember that. If you do not have one of those things set up, you're missing one of those 3 steps, your firewall will not work. Alright, and once I get the ASA going, I should have this. Let me make sure that this is my loopback adapter. Looks like it. And looks like it. Okay, good. So 10, 10, 10, 3, yeah. 10, 10, 10, 1. So if I open up a command prompt, I know what it is. I didn't do this from my flash. Just console this guy real fast. Fire mode. What? Good. There's all my stuff that I have running in Flash. So I have a running dash config. For GNS3 purposes, I'm going to copy Flash running dash config to running config. Good. So it should run now. Now I have all my interfaces back up to where they were and all my configuration and everything else. So very important that the steps that I showed you, and for GNS3 purposes, to create your Flash so you can save your file so you can come back to square one. Alright, so from here you should now be able to get connectivity, yes, to my ASA. In setting up the ASDM, the first thing you need to do is you need to SSH to the box and run a couple different commands. Okay? The first command you need to look at is you need to look at your Flash. And you need to ensure that you have an ASDM.bin file in your Flash. And note what the file name is. Note what the file name is. So I went over this a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago, about how to transfer the file from your machine to the ASA Flash via TFTP. Hopefully you guys were taking notes at that time. Alright, next, you need to run a couple of additional commands. You need to have the HTTP server enabled. Okay, you cannot run ASDM without the HTTP server enabled. Somebody make a note of that. That's a test question. I'm not lying. Alright? You need to have HTTP access from one of your networks, in particular the network that you're going to be accessing the device from via HTTP. So in this case, it's my local inside network. And you need to tell it what the ASDM image is with the ASDM image command. Alright? So disk0 ASDM 603.bin. Okay, archived flash :whack ASDM -603.bin. We'll work the same way. Because disk0 and flash : are essentially the same thing in this instance. Alright, so from there, you would go and open up a browser, go to HTTPS 10.10.10.1, which is the address, the inside address of the ASA. Go through all the exception stuff. And you'll come to this screen. Alright. Now, it doesn't matter what, I'm downloading ASDM 6. ASDM is up to like version 7 something right now. Alright. If you run this, it will allow you to download a file, and you load that file. You need to have administrative privileges on this computer in order for this to work. You need to have Java up to a certain level for it to work. You need to have a high screen resolution. You need to have a high screen resolution. Those are the tricks that we've learned here over the past month or so. Okay. You can also run ASDM from the Run ASDM button. It will run it in memory. You don't have to download it and launch it. It will run it in memory. I downloaded ours, mine, and I have a little icon here, which is my ASDM launcher. So if I double click on that, give it a second.
It's
That's the guys down in the,
Oh no, that was the guy on the skateboard. He had a boombox on his shoulder.
oh. I thought it was the dancers that hang out down in the courtyard or whatever it is.
I sometimes wonder.
This is why you made your business and not.
Yep. Alright, eventually your ASDM should catch up. The other thing you need to ensure that you need to have a username and password in your ASA. So you have to set up the ASA first from command line, at least a few sets of commands. And I have a username in here. Find it real quick. I hope I have a username in here. If not, that's great. Yeah. So I have my username, my password. I'm set to privilege level 15. So I'm set there. So I change the IP address, username, you'll get a security warning. It'll load up and it'll come up to your status screen. Now, over here on the left, you might only have like one IP address. These are all the different firewalls that I manage or have managed in the last year or so, 6 months. And your home screen is going to show you a dashboard, give you the uptime of the device type, your context mode, your running memory, your total flash. What mode is it in? Is it in routed mode, or what's the other type of mode? If it's not in routed mode, it's in transparent mode. Good, somebody was paying attention. Yet another test question. Me. You can also look at your licensing information from here. Okay? So I can have up to 5,000 VPN peers and 2,500 clientless SSL VPN peers. That's kind of cool, actually. But usually you only get 2. Don't ask me how I did that. You can click the more licenses and see all the different statistics. Right? You go to the configuration tab. Here's where you can configure all of the different things on the device. Under the device setup, you configure the IP addresses of the interfaces, routing, which I don't have a static route here, so I need to add one. I'll come back to that. Your host name, domain name, NTP, clock settings. Under device management, here's where you can actually set up users, certificates, your DHCP pools, management, and the like. Okay? So for lab 4, you should have gone through a lot of this already. I hope. Under your firewall feature, this is where you actually add in your ACLs. So your outside ACL, inbound, this is where you would permit traffic, deny traffic, log traffic, you are filtering servers. Here's a really, really, really cool feature. Okay, you can link the ASA to a hosted service, such as WebSense in the cloud or Secure Computing Smart Sniffer. And you can filter web traffic through it, through a proxy. Okay? Really, really, really kind of cool. Access rules. NAT rules. This is where you set up your network address translation or port address translation. Here I have one single static NAT, and I have a dynamic set to the outside interface. Other cool things, if I go back to the home screen, I can look at works online. I can look at syslog messages that are getting logged to the console. Alright, I can look at syslog message and I have an error here that I need to clean up. Primarily because I'm not managing memory very well because I'm using virtual memory. Alright. You can see the history of the CPU, traffic, memory, etc. Okay? I've never really been a big advocate of using the GUI for the ASDM until I had to go and work on an ASA that was version, I think 8.6. 8.6 and in 8.4 they changed the way, Cisco changed the way that all the syntax was for natting and some of it for crypto maps. And it really kind of frustrated me a lot. So that's when I started using the ASDM. Is there security holes in the ASDM? I have researched it quite a bit. I haven't found any. I've been on a lot of blog sites and a lot of other Cisco sites. I haven't found any. What you want to do more than anything else is you want to lock down the ASDM to only those individual IP addresses that should have access to it. For example, at the city, myself, the two other senior analysts, and the IS director have access to the ASDM. Okay, edit that group. You go to the group policy. You manage that group policy. And under that group policy, I'm on connection profiles, hang on. Network client. Network client access, IPsec connections. Go to group policies. Under advanced you have split tunneling. Here you can define a network list, you manage it. This is where you're basically creating an ACL. When you add an ACL, you name it. Typically you would name it split tunnel. And then you would add entries under it. And what these entries do, you need to set them to permit. These are the networks that you are allowing the client to access behind your firewall. So if your inside network is 10.10.10.0, when I go to anything on that 10.10.10 network, I can get to it. That's what we call split tunneling. And what split tunneling allows you to do is if you don't set this up, if you don't set it up at all, everything will route to the VPN, including your own internet access. including your own internet access. So when you use that VPN, you're using the internet on the far side. That can slow the performance down. What split tunneling will do is it will allow you to use your local internet connection, say at your house, and it will only tunnel the networks that you need to get to. Very important concept to learn. It's one of the things that when I work with security engineers and I'm troubleshooting VPNs, 80% of the time, they've jacked up split tunneling. 80% of the time. Because they've denied it instead of permitted it. Or they don't have it defined. Okay? Real huge lessons learned. You take one thing out of this week, take this, please. Split tunneling. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes CIS 467. Thank you very much for your time.